Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Spy Party Major League Season 2. My name is Taboshi. I'm joined today by Slappy Davis.
Hello, hello. How's it going, everybody? I am excited for these games.
Yeah, me too. And we've got Nebula as our host and observer as usual. We are in week 4 of play. There's 2 games we've got for you today. Later on, you're going to see the Master Division game, Guggy versus Lev T. But first, we're starting things off in Emerald with Yosh versus Lavinuke.
Yeah, and this is going to be fun because they also have kind of a fun, let's just say, brotherly rivalry sometimes in Discord and elsewhere. So I think that they will be definitely, just even for simple pride's sake, pulling out all the stops.
In week 4, we're now starting to get a sense of where things are falling as far as the leaderboard is concerned, how people are doing. Lavinuke has not been doing too well, but he's had a pretty tough draw with some very strong opponents in some very difficult games. Yosh is 1-1-1 at the moment, so not super easy to draw conclusions, still fairly early on, but Yosh does look like they've got a little bit of an edge as far as the current standings are sitting.
Yeah, absolutely. And if Yash wants to actually make a run for the top, this is the kind of match that he really needs to win. And then for Lavinuke, it's gonna be tough to make his way back up to the top, but this is also again a way to make themselves get more towards the middle. And again, I think that both of them have a lot of potential. And I honestly, I wouldn't be surprised to see some off the wall, strange strategies when it comes to Spy on this one. But of course, we'll just have to see.
That tends to happen with brotherly rivalries. People sort of get a feel for each other and their play styles, and when that happens, things start getting a little bit wild, generally speaking.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a fun time. We may as well get into the picks and bans from here. So, Lev wins the coin flip and opts to pick second. Right.
Yash.
My apologies. So, we've got Yosh starting things out by banning Redwoods. Lavinuke bans Library. Yosh restricts Aquarium. And Lavinuke restricts absolutely nothing at all, which is always fun.
Yeah, and honestly, it's a strange thing. Like normally when I see a ban and then a no restrict, the ban is versus stuff with pocket strategies like Aquarium or Redwoods or something like that. A ban of Library followed by a non-restrict. It's interesting because usually when people don't really want to extend their ban super far, they try to ban outlier maps. And Library is an outlier insofar of its sniper win rate, but it's not really an outlier as far as people's comfort. So really interested in that ban there. Where Yasha's ban and restrict to me are just like two of the most popular bans and restricts. Redwoods and Aquariums are just any of the obscuring venues are often kind of in the mix for bans and restricts.
Absolutely. So already things are looking a little bit weird before you even get to the picks. But what we wind up with is Yosh picking up double Terrace 3 of 7, and then Lavinuke doubling Tayen 5 of 8.
Yeah, absolutely. And then like even as it goes on, like we're gonna have lots of small cramped venues, and then very large. Exactly. Yeah, right. Exactly. Where it's like the least cramped venue. It's still an A4 of 8, but I wanna say maybe it's like the most open space venue that there is. I don't have to have stats to back that up, but there's just so much place like space per character if that's a stat that anyone has ever done. So yeah, interesting flow to the picks and bans for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. We've got Yosh starting things off on the spy side of Terrace versus Lavinuke's Sniper. I don't think there's any other housekeeping to do, so without any further ado, let's get things started in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, and you'd expect. So let's see. The other things we can say about Terrace, Tayen, and Pub is that it's they're also going to be hard to guard. Well, I guess I should say it's more that it's important to guard bug. There's a lot of bug guarding that's going to go on in the first three maps, and then Modern is actually one of the easiest bug guarding maps. So the bug doesn't play as much of a role, but I just imagine that there's going to be a ton of attention focused on Ambassador during all of the first three of these venues.
First flirt comes off for 23%. It's been a very light bar early on in this game, so you're not going to see a lot of play around that until there's maybe a little bit of a rush later on. But for now, just sort of hanging out, getting our bearings, picking up a flirt or two while we're at it.
That's another theme that I actually didn't pick up on is three or four. If Yosh didn't ban out and restrict a Redwoods and Aquarium, we could have had all bar purloins. So it's only Tayen is the only tray purloin in there. It's still a wild purloin map because of how much time's behind Soji, but purloin also is going to be playing a huge like stylistically into this match because they're gonna have to guard it in such interesting ways.
Absolutely. Second flirt comes off. This one, a green test to bring us up to 59%. We're still going to need a green test to get it done in 3, and a relatively close one as well. Have not yet been in conversation with the double agent, but as I say it, double agent drops in to say hi, so we might see a contact fairly soon.
Yeah, that would knock out Sorry, but I mean, I think Yash is really committing to playing really slowly here. Although, as I say that, we do start bumping out, so we don't actually stay for that last flirt, which is a little surprising to me. Although Ponytail does actually leave right as we would have left, so I don't think we would have actually gotten that last flirt. We're not going to be able to get both of these in specs, so I think we're going to put down and only get the one in here, and then maybe bug on the way out. We'll see. No, we do not.
Very much a bug path, but no actual bug. That's the kind of thing you do when you're very confident that the sniper is on top of things enough that they will very much know you are not making that bug play. We've seen a flick safety off on Orange Sorry, who then tucks in right next to the Ambassador. He has to have so much heat on her. It's a real contact for Sorry as well, and the shot just comes off. Everything lined up beautifully for Yosh with that frame.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, it almost seemed like there was an opportunity to maybe even oh, I guess we would have been there way too late. But let's see. So Sorry went to bar, maybe grabbed some fingerprints, and also inspected one of the statues. So just active. And Sorry was like one of the only characters out when. Oh, actually, that's not true. Irish was out as well. When Double Agent joined us. And so good on Yash for identifying some of the top suspects and not knocking out one of the people to get shot. And it did seem like Yash, that entire gameplay was so slow and was probably just thinking Lab might be shooting lots of civs if I just don't do anything and take a good contact.
And it absolutely worked out. It was one of those venues. Let's see if Lavinuke can answer back from the spy side as Alice in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And possibly if they have played oh, this can be a really busy bar.
Oh boy.
Yeah, this is and that's such a good low light general, such a good path.
Such a good flirt too, though. Was able to get 51% being crammed into the bar with everyone like this. That's gonna be basically invisible.
Yeah, and I'm curious if so. Here's an opportunity here for Yosh also to pair everybody at bar because there's just kind of like there's two things that happen with all the highlights at bar. Is one you can see if other highlights go. We do get a neutral light for not picking up a drink as we walk away, so there's not going to be as much of an opportunity to see like our highlights talking to other highlights, and you can just do this like generic kind of flirt pairing because you're kind of going to pair them with everybody at the bar. So I'm curious if that comes into play. But I think for now we'll just be looking closely at Purloin, which is not going to happen unless we do a Purloin frame.
Yeah. Ambassador drops in to say hi, but this is far, far too exposed to try anything with it. So Lavinuke is just going to step away and go for the finish on this flirt, if he can hit a green test on it.
Yeah, and we definitely squeeze ourselves in there. Double Agent is available. It's not the best time. There's a few characters that are going to be in. Oh, well, actually, we only knock out one because General, we do at least wait for General to go in there. And then we are going to not get the green flirt so that we're still one away. But we still have lots of options about a finish. This is about the timing where Purloin is going to start getting knocked out for all the guests that were there initially. So I'm going to assume we're going to start seeing some neutral lights, and there they actually are right there.
Only about 4 real contactors, though, so we might want to sneak in a fake somewhere if if the opportunity presents itself, just to get a few more suspects on the table. But with the amount of movement, it's looking not very likely.
Yeah, and I'm curious
Oh,
oh,
that's a
people are gonna
bug!
go
That's a
reverse
bug on
bug.
the behind the back as he comes through. It looks like Yosh might be onto this, but is he confident enough to take the shot on it? He's got a little bit of time. The flirt's not done yet. It looked like he might have saw something, but not a lot.
And there's some aggressive lowlights coming out here. So I'm curious. So it's like sometimes if the sniper doesn't want to give away that they've seen something, but they think that there's gonna be like one more thing like this flirt left here, and so I guess we'll see in a moment here when you take that flirt. But the fact that there's some cavalier lowlights sometimes indicates that there was something seen.
There it
We
is.
are gonna do this talk, and immediately seduction target's gonna walk away, and it looks like nothing.
No reaction from Yosh. I think this is a one game from Lavinuke, and indeed it is. A beautiful reverse drive-by bug. Caught Yosh just a little bit unawares, and that is all it takes. It's 1-1.
Yeah, absolutely great timing on the bug. All that was visible was a tiny bit of the lean at the end, but that honestly could have just even looked like a conversation lean. And when Yosh actually zoomed in right after, which we couldn't quite tell if it was suspicion on the bug or not, it looked like that was the late guard on the bug, and not actually in a suspicion. So well done for Lavinuke, and we're all tied up.
2 more rounds of Terrace to go. Yosh back onto the spy side versus Lavinuke's sniper in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And the other kind of thing you can draw to that is very different playstyles out of the first couple of games. So Yash was a little bit more trying to anticipate a civ shot, so a little bit less active on missions, but active in strategy. I think that they actually contended for a civ shot game from the very beginning. Yosh not happy about that 34% flirt, where Lav was a little bit more active mission wise, and we'll see if that carries forward in the rest of the match.
Yeah, I get a little bit of a camera shake there just for missing the green test, but the positioning was good, so it's still very much in 3 flirt range. Interesting to see Yosh going full no control, even when he could have tucked in for that early flirt and just waiting to get settled before starting the game. Oh, a low light off of a really good fake contact.
Yeah, Yash had identified that the only person that could have been the DA in the conversation circle would have been White Dress, which is unlikely, and maybe honestly, even there was like sorry, we know who the double agent is, so we know that they're not there. Don't know why I'm saying that, but we know that it's unlikely to be a big decision for them on sniper, and then maybe we fish out a low light. So now I don't know if Yash has felt out this low light and really what we could expect to do with it. But I mean, we have kind of a straightforward path. If you get a low light, you don't necessarily have to do something flashy like go for a bug or go for a swap. You can get away with something like just doing obvious missions like inspect, and you might not get bounced back up.
Well, it's a delegate for now, so we'll see what they do with it. But this is a very, very dangerous venue to be low lighting for fake BBs on, because the double agent is precisely known to both players. So it's very easy for a spy to tell if they're not in conversation with a suspected DA, because there's only one.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's actually strange because Terrace is, I think, unique in that respect. Because even balcony, you don't actually know who the DA is, and it's a different situation. So there is kind of like mind games with that. But Yosh so far seems like to be playing in mind games well. We do delegate to Tex, so they will be finishing up there. I don't know. Right now we have like this timing problem of we delegate to Tex, but that also means we're not. Oh, it's going to expire. So actually, now we're a little bit behind on time. So I wonder if we're going to flirt and inspect swap, which would be a little bit of a disappointing finish. We are flashing on Plane Twin though, so there might be a shot regardless.
There might be, but Yosh doesn't know it. They've got to move. They're definitely not playing like they suspect they're low lit. Lavinuke has been very aggressive on the low lights this game, and it has bit them, but Yosh has not been able to take advantage. Another low light comes out. 8 seconds to play. It doesn't look like we're going to get a trigger pulled before overtime. He's just holding on for it with 2 suspects left. And there is no overtime. There is no shot. So Yosh lets a beautiful opportunity fall by the wayside, just not quite getting the missions done.
Yeah, that was definitely a dare not to shoot, where Yosh picked up the win just on a relatively wide frame, just by Perla, or sorry, doing a banana bread at the opportune time and then picking something up. The difference here is this time we did a fake, and then we had suspicion on Bling Twin as being part of the conversation with the real double agent later. So we had this. It's kind of a strange decision, I guess, to do the to do a second banana bread and hope for a shot. Because who else are you giving credit to the banana bread to? The only people without banana bread credit are you and White Dress. There is no reason for anybody but White Dress and you to do the second banana bread. So you're not going to induce a shot due to the banana bread unless you're covering for something. So I don't think that quite fell together for Yosh in the planning there, but they were able to pick up the first spy win off of it. So I guess overall strategy didn't bite them too much.
Yeah, I feel like the plan in that last game was to um, not have the delegate expire, and then things just sort of panicked after that. Either way, Lavinuke finds himself in a pretty good position as they step into the spy side for our last game at Terrace. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, and honestly, if we're okay, so we're gonna have a pretty decent bar here at the start, which Lavinuke does seem to be identifying here. Um, Interesting highlighting, by the way, from Yash, where we're only highlighting some of them. We might only be highlighting for drinks. Both of those had, well, one Red Dress took a drink, and then Teal had a drink in hand when they went in there, and also maybe squish themselves in. So it seems like our highlighting strategy is actually only taking drinks and then looking for that later. I guess we're really anticipating a purloin in this game, I guess is the way I'm trying to phrase it.
Yep, seems like that. Lavinuke was not in that first batch of bar goers, and both of the interesting NPCs at the moment are in the other conversations. So we're in a bit of a weird spot as Lavinuke, where everyone else didn't want to hang out with us.
Yeah, and so the weird thing is this is a huge bar rush. Honestly, we might get low lit just because everybody has visited bar and usually the spy would take advantage of it. Like, oh my god, like who hasn't visited bar? Us, general. That's it. That's it. That's the only people that haven't visited bar at some point in this game.
Yeah, this has been a
So
wild bar rush.
it's indeed. So we're gonna fake here. This is interesting because this is gonna knock out two. And unless we actually go purloin here, I don't actually quite like this because I don't know what our plan is here. Because that's gonna start narrowing in on the people that could have done a purloin. So unless we do something with the information kind of like peaked on the people that might do purloin, they've been to bar. But if there's no purloin coming off, I don't think we're going to see a shot. So we're going to have to be a little bit more active in trying to actually like to make Yosh like be worried and concerned if we're looking for a civ shot.
Lavinuke is really just sitting, just taking as much time as they can. They've got 18% on the flirt, but they're just sort of looking at that bar situation and hoping it's someone's going to wind up being suspicious enough to get shot.
There's a okay. I was gonna say Wheels. If Duke wasn't there, we might have to try to fake a delegate on Wheels. But now, honestly, the Purloins are starting to die off as options. There's going to be a moment here where Pony's going to be a concern, just because it's late enough that I think some of the Purloins could have happened. The fact that that's not getting taken and all we're getting is a flirt for it means that Yosh is going to be falling more and more into a comfortable position unless they're really worried they miss something else by focusing so much on Purloin. So Lavinuke's got to do something in here, and I don't think they actually can include Purloin because of how much activity has been noted by Yosh, and no Purloin as a result.
25 seconds to play. We are out of time for missions. It is a contact right as the double agent steps away, so that is one in the books. But even if we get this flirt done, we've got to get another mission on top of it. And we're going to be well into overtime by the time that happens. Flirt done in 3. There's the bug on the way through, but it was right on camera. And even though the angle was good, it was not good enough. Yosh finds the shot. It's 2-2 coming out of Terrace.
Yeah, absolutely. So very interesting games, very different strategies in each of the games from each of the players. basically that last game was kind of what we I think expected to see near the ending from Yosh in the previous game. But then there's just a timeout. So I think we got one of everything. We got a spy shot, a civ shot, a oh did we not get a mission win actually? No, we did get a mission win. We got a mission win
Yeah, we
from
did.
Lavinuke. Yeah, we got at least one of everything in that one. So interesting skew of results, and we come away from it even though.
Well, we're not going to be switching it up too much. This is a much heavier occlusion venue, but it's still small, it's still packed, and there's going to be a lot going on as we step into Tayen with Yosh on the spy side first versus Lavinuke Sniper. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Now this is going to be so much more cramped. Like Terrace is still worrying because there's it's still if you miss a bug, it's kind of just over if you unless you're really on top of flirts. But this is now going to be a lot more panicky. So if Yosh is going to lean further into this inducing civ shots, like honestly, it looks like something maybe like just a contact and a purloin might be enough because it's such a small map. Although it is Lab's pick, so Lav might not be keen on shooting civs in there for practice on the map.
Same side Shoji's also open things up a little bit, give the sniper a little bit more space to see what's going on.
Indeed, yeah, absolutely. The back soji just doesn't really matter at all. We are gonna get this flirt here. We're not gonna be seen taking the book late at all. So this is gonna be all upside, I believe, unless there's a pair. And that's going to be important because what's great about getting this book, although man, Sam is really taking their time putting this book back, is we theoretically can get some burn off on the seduction timer, and then also rejoin where our seduction timer is going to go. But unfortunately, Salmon goes to window, so we actually don't know where they're going to end up. We take our time
Oh,
leaving
look at all this
here.
cover. We didn't wind up doing anything with it, so no crazy bug path or anything like that, but it is going to be the contact coming off. So that's going to let off 4, I think, lowlights, which is not fantastic on this venue, but it's not terrible. And then 57% on the flirt, as well as a couple of little flicks of the safety.
Indeed, yeah, we have two people under scrutiny, neither of which are the spy, but they're actually the only two. Sorry, they're two of the three suspects that are available in the back conversation. One of them is the spy, and neither of them had the flash. So a little bit worrying, but unless there's actually a mission that comes off, I don't think there's gonna be a shot induced. So we still have some trouble here unless like Pony rejects and we take a purloin and we can't see at the fade. We are not purloining here, so we still do have to do something.
Minute and 15 is still a decent amount of time, especially on a venue as tight as this. Bug still available. We might be able to get the flirt done in one more. It's going to be a little bit tight, especially if we get a white flirt, but we might be able to just go double print here. We're not going to be able to get to the briefcase in time, so it's just the one. Under a minute to play.
Yeah, and I'm curious how Lav feels about that walking over the briefcase that I think I can't I guess Ambassador might have been in motion, but we pick up a statue and then a someone we're gonna be bouncing off that ambassador. We might actually pick up bug credit. That was one of the main reasons, by the way, that I think that Smallman and Pony were under scrutiny was because they were flanking Ambassador, but both far enough away that they weren't invading space. So I think that we kind of there's just a sip shot on White Dress as the timeout comes off.
Yeah, a very different sort of shot going on there. There was some shenanigans going on earlier on with the briefcase that might have caused some suspicion, but yeah, shot comes off, and Yosh again is able to just sort of hang out and let Lavinuke do the work for him.
Yeah, and I think that it looks like maybe the time ad was caught just a little late. We did a time ad right in the front, which is interesting. Normally, missed time ads are, you see the green and then you misattribute that to someone. But if we're not paying close attention to where White Dress is, or let's say we just look at the clock late, and then we see that time has been added, White Dress did pick up that briefcase next to us, so they do have a fingerprint in hand.
Yeah.
And then went to Windows right after that, and then time was added, but it was added a couple seconds before that she left. So it seems like things had lined up, and we do, like you say, end up taking a shot on neither of the people that we we finished. So interestingly, there were four highlights at the end: us, white dress, ponytail, and Smallman. Sorry was the spy, white dress was the shot, and the flashes were on ponytail and Smallman. So everybody was in the mix at some point. And to me, the least likely person got shot. But again, just happens to work out that way with the time ad.
Yeah, considering the time ad, I have to admit, I do not mind that shot at all. It just didn't quite wind up working out as Lavinuke steps into the spy side versus Yosh's sniper in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
It is true that if you start really feeling like oftentimes I think the generic advice to somebody for catching a time ad is that generally speaking you don't have to worry about the time, you just highlight them, make them your top suspect, and then wait for something else to happen. But often on Tayen, if you have let's see, actually pause for a second here. Well, maybe we take either a purloin or a bug. Looks like we are taking neither, but we might be.
Oh, there's the bug attempt,
there it is.
But the ambassador's stepping away at the wrong time, and it doesn't take.
Indeed, we do try. It looks like we tried to do a twitch onto that as perhaps there was the leave and whatnot. I can't tell if they were trying to just do a standing back bug without doing the lean, or if we were trying to follow them slightly with it. But yeah, too bad on that one. But I actually don't think we're any worse for wear on that. But if you pick up suspicion but no threat on Tayen, sometimes you're just going to pick up threat regardless in a few seconds because you'll be near ambassador, you'll do something in conversation, you'll just get shot for something else. So I'm not surprised that there's wrong shots due to misattributed time ads.
We got a flirt in the back. This is not the kind of thing you usually try to hide like this, but when you get an opportunity for it, you may as well.
Yeah, and Texas stuck there for a bit reading, which is nice.
We're at 78% on the flirt now, with 2 minutes still to play, and in conversation with the double agent. So things are trucking along at a good pace here for Lavinuke.
And also to give Lavinuke credit on that one, if we didn't go for that flirt, Tex was going to be outside at the windows reading for like 45 seconds or something, like just a long time outside of conversation. So if we didn't do that, we might be stuck because he might actually just go back to bookcase. So good on Lavinuke for actually forcing that flirt there, because if we didn't, it was a long time outside of it. We are going to banana bread
split on a purloin as well. So the green purloin is going. We did get low lit for the banana split. Let's see if he can recover from it. He does indeed. Back to neutralite as Cowboy gets low lit in our place. But the purloin has come off, and I don't know if Yosh has seen it.
Yeah, I was curious if we got brought back up because of either noticing that we had the opportunity, or there was going to be a bug on the way through, and it's a very good, well-covered bug. And actually, during that time, Ponytail's going to shot. I'm actually very surprised that the Ponytail shot came off. I think we're still parsing out the purloin. But Lavinuke actually was basically seconds away from a mission win anyways on what was honestly a very good bug. You would have to just, Bordy be suspicious of it. There wasn't going to be that much saying it. You'd just be like looking at path and whatnot. So Lavinuke playing well on that spy game as well.
Yeah, that is basically an unfindable bug. There are a lot of bugs on this venue that you just have to credit, and that is one of them. And if you're already angling to shoot somebody else, you're probably not going to be paying enough attention to paths in order to credit a bug and change your mind that late in the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that puts us square at 3 going back into the second round of Tayen. Yosh once again on the spy side in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, and unfortunately not getting much from the Soji on this one. We are doing another AI control up through the first, which is interesting. Because we get I think that's a twin well, actually we don't need the twin disambiguation highlight because our twin is actually the real double agent. So I'm curious if that's just habit or not.
This is still AI control.
We are still under AI control. So this is like the exact opposite of what you want from this, is doing a lingering AI control, but you still end up with a highlight, which is an unfair highlight anyway, because if it's a disambiguation, we'll see if we lose it in a second character, because we do low light one of them. There's the reel that comes off right now, so I don't think we're going to lose it now. And we might be doing a purloin as the lights are coming through, but it looks like no, we're just going to be taking it slow.
Not much in the way of lights, though. We lost really just the one person from it. So early contact was a pretty dang good one, which is really the only time you see early contact other than rushes.
Yeah, and yeah, early, like you're saying, early contacts are interesting on Tayen because spies sometimes like to hold on to a contact because like it's pretty reliable that you can have the opportunity for a contact later, and sometimes they want to see which people are important to keep in because just through the flow of the game, you don't know who might end up going to center statues and visiting things. We had an opportunity there for a bug. It looked like Ambassador might be pathing to the other position, so we didn't actually go for the bug. But I think we would have had it for free there if we had just tossed one out there and fished for it.
No print on the briefcase. A few too many hands on it beforehand. So it looks like we're going to step in for the flirt. We hit a green test, but a very distant one for 33% with a minute and 40 to play. Still time, but a little bit behind the curve.
Yeah, absolutely. You can make up you can make up for time pretty quickly here. And I don't think we don't quite have enough spacing. So one of the big things about being on also G on bookcase side on Tayen is sometimes snipers try to cheat on the very back statue. Like actually right now the back statue is not being covered, but there's also
That's a
nobody
bug.
there. Yeah, it's a good bug on with it. Actually, it's the exact mirror of the bug that we saw from Lavinuke, the previous game, where it's crossing from instead of bookshelves, it's statue to bookshelves, and it's twin. It might even be the same twin. I forget which twin we were. And it was in the middle where our arms are completely covered, and all that we would have would be a path.
Unfortunately, a little bit too late to take the print off of the green bookcase that had already been taken. So we are now at 33% on the flirt still. Stepping into statues once again to get the inspects finished up. So that's going to be 2 completions, but I don't know if we're going to be able to get this flirt done in 30 seconds.
Yeah, you would expect that if this was the play, what we were going to do was flirt, then inspect, and then flirt again to break up the seduction test timers. Seduction? We can't go for the seduction, actually. We have to bail out and do
There's
something
just
else.
no time.
Yosh is freezing up. Yeah, I think we got to add time and flirt. So
Well,
we're going
he
to flirt
takes the
here.
flirt, but he's not able to get it off in time. The seduction target bails on him, even though it was a green test. So this is going to have to be a 0-second green time ad. It's white. Everything is falling apart for Yosh.
Yeah, absolutely. And right now, Lab is taking the lowlights, and as long as we don't find us, so we're parsing out pretty well. We keep white dress and us. I think we have to be top suspect just
That's
because
a
we were
purloin.
seen in the back there. There is white purloin. Yeah, this is all come down to whether or not this is seen.
Yeah.
We're lingering.
He's
We're
not he's
lingering.
not taking the shot. He hasn't seen the list. He gets a glance at it right at the end. He just couldn't get eyes on the list in time. And somehow Yosh gets away with it.
He does. I mean, and like that's just like you just doing what you need to do in order to get it. You could definitely see the start of the fade, right? So if it's a white test, you know that you can start seeing the fade, but we never saw naked Trey, which is what we wanted to see. And then honestly, I think we just had to just position and take a shot at that point. Like it's just nerve wracking in order to try to wait that long for too late for sync. And Yash, yeah, getting away from something there for sure.
So Lavinuke, once again, on the spy side, but this time on the back foot. Let's see what they're able to do with it in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's tough to play, jump back into the game and play a spy
That's
game.
a
Right?
nice
Oh,
early bug coming through to the back from Lavinuke. A beautiful start.
yeah, I was about to say that it was. I think that it's tough to bounce back from a game that you might feel like you threw, but that's a great way to start it. And then I think this is just I think foot on the gas pedal all the way. Yeah, we're just gonna go center statue. Are we even really gonna just try to flirt it out, or are we gonna try to do something insane like inspects? Obviously, I think we should just be going in relatively calm, go for the seduction, go for the contact, and dare to shoot that early. We don't actually finish the inspects though, which is a bit of a bummer, but it is probably good that we don't. 3 cycling just in case it's being watched. So we still might have our foot on the gas after this.
Statue to statue does earn us a little bit of suspicion. You could see the laser flick over, but I think Lavinuke, with that bug having already happened, is in a pretty good position here. Staying away from the ambassador so we're not caught in any weird bug paths. going in for the seduction right now. It's 34% on the early white test. Still over 2.25 minutes to play.
Yeah, absolutely. And so one of the key things, strangely enough, is if we think we got that bug for free, we need to stay away from Ambassador all the rest of this game. Because what we have now are all the inspects done. We're going to be flirting and likely we're going to be contacting. We need to not pick up bug credit for the rest of this. That's going to be really key for us because I think that Yosh is going to be very carefully mission counting on us having been an early inspect finisher.
Not able to get to the briefcase in time, so we just tuck into conversation and hope for the best. Let's see where the seduction target goes. It's not here.
Yeah, not here, unfortunately, and I think we'd be obligated for this case. Well, I guess Ambassador's in motion, but I still think we're obligated for that case. But we are going to stand out here in front, and importantly, not anywhere near Ambassador, so I don't think we picked up credit yet. But also, it's going to be good to get to get this all done relatively quickly, so it looks like Ponytail still wants the bug, and we are indeed going to contact. A couple people do leave from the back, though.
Still a fairly solid contact. Lots of people in conversation, lots of people with reels. 62% on the flirt, so we do need to hit a green to get it done in 3, but that's all we have left to do. I think
Yeah,
Lavinuke's in a
absolutely.
really good spot here.
Agreed. As long as we're able to, again, like you're saying, hit that green or readjust. Honestly, even if we don't hit the green, we might have some timing. But we are going to have to basically fire as soon as possible so we know what
Here's
we
the
have to do.
cooldown. It's not green. 90% is where we stand. Still 35 seconds to play, so we're going to have to do something to get the cooldown moving a little bit quicker. But with 30 seconds to play, we should have enough time to get out and back for this flirt.
Yes, and we need to not walk. So right now, Ambassador is blocking our path backwards. Right now, Lavinuke's okay. I think we need to
Gotta
take
move.
this step out. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, we are cross conversation with seduction target, so it's not a true 45-second timer. I think we
It
will.
doesn't matter because the shot comes off. Lavinuke is a little bit too suspicious and pulls the trigger a little bit sooner than he had to. And we are once again coming out tied from the double.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very interested in what would have happened if Tex doesn't pick up the bullet there because we were going to have probably seduce end around like 3 seconds left, but that requires and so I think that it seems like we wouldn't have been the OT shot, but there was going to be an OT shot. There's tons of highlights, and we would have been talking at the very end, and we needed seduction target to not move in the last 15 seconds. So little bit of a breather here for Lavinuke to be able to come out of this even.
4-4 is the split. We've got 4 games across 2 venues left to play. Starting things off on pub 3 of 7. Yosh is going to start things off on the spy side in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
We would presume that this is going to be the big opportunity to get a lead. Pub 3 of 7, pretty chaotic. You can pretty reliably just have action on this map, whether or not it's mission wins, whether or not it's civ shots. I doubt. Well, I mean, actually, it depends on the read because like a lot of people are worried about allowing a timeout like as their strategy as by like trying to fish for like a civ shot via timeout because just stuff can like not happen on pubbed in the last minute and make snipers feel really comfortable. So I don't think they should aim for that. But of course, it just depends what the party gives you.
Taking a pretty early purloin is, or pretty early delegate rather, is Yosh. Into the conversation we go with what was going to be the ambassador before he stepped away, but we still have the seduction target here. Early white test from a distance gives us 23% to start.
Yeah, and we have the option here of doing a walk away purloin
Oh,
and
it's
go join a
delegate
flirt.
send.
Yeah, I was curious if we were going to do the walk away at the same time, so there wasn't a talk animation, and then rejoin with seduction target because it feels like it fit well together. We do get a 50%, which we get the option of having an early finish. So the problem we're going to have is there's going to be an early purloin. There is a highlight already coming off on Kane, and we could actually maybe even just go in flirt and go in for an inspect and do a silent game and dare a shot early on. But we're seeing what's going to happen for Yosh. It looks like we're not following our seduction target in there right now.
List is officially gone.
And it's not much of a reaction yet. There weren't that many people at bar, so I guess we just weren't expecting the purloin, and also we might have not have recognized it yet. We do seem to be doing a double take on Toby. Toby's going to stay there for a long time, by the way. If we don't recognize this purloin, we're doing a big swing over. We are trying to find that list. So there's this funny consequences. If there's a take on a far end and there's no one taking it, Toby continues to stand there, doesn't reset. There's a fake banana bread. It's going to knock
That's
out.
a good fake.
It's a good fake, but it does knock out Salmon. And if we were still worried about the purloin, he might have actually been in the mix for purloin. But I honestly just see kind of nothing but confusion going on right now because we seem to be pivoting around and looking for something going on.
Unfortunately, time is starting to run out. Back into the bar we go just to get a flirt. Does he hit the green? He does hit the green. That's going to be really big with 15 seconds left. Got to find one more mission. The ambassador does not play nice. So it's going to have to be the double agent.
It's gonna be a double
It's
agent.
gonna be about 5 seconds by the time the contact comes off. Even less than that because it was a white test. 7 minutes, 7 seconds of overtime is more than enough for Lavinuke to find the shot and take it. And what looked like a horrible situation for Lavinuke for most of that game was not able to be capitalized on by Yosh, and he's able to come out of it unscathed.
Yeah, I think that the second contact, like I understand the after you do a fake, and if you are trying to slip by with mission win, you often are kind of skewed towards just doing the contact and just like firing it off again. I actually don't think that was the play. I think we could have just the fake. I don't think we should have fired off until later if we needed it because it was unlikely to get a shot off given how many people had actually been to bar. I think that inspect might have been a really interesting choice because I don't know how much we were on Lavinuke's radar, but we do fight it off, and then Lavinuke able to find the chase, and well done.
That was a great comeback sniper game from Lavinuke. Let's see what they're able to do on the spy side of things versus Yosh's sniper. In 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And obviously, hugely important for Yosh to pick
That's
this
a
up.
bug attempt on the way in. That's another bug attempt on the way in. Neither of them take, and Lavinuke dies immediately.
Yeah, so I mean, let's see. I want to see if it was on the first or the second that we identified here. So, honestly, even the first one might have been ID'd because Yosh does actually seem to. Yeah, I think that Yosh only saw the first one. So honestly, firing it off the second time might not have actually ended up being a bad idea because I think it really was the first time that it was seen. So good reflexes on Yosh's part and is able to salvage a game that would have been unfortunate for him to lose.
And now, for the final venue, we get a big change of pace. It's a lot of small, tight venues so far, but now we go to something entirely different. It's modern NE4 of 8, a very big venue with very long walking distances as Yosh steps into the spy side first in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
Yeah, indeed. So this is gonna be really interesting because so much of their gameplay, as kind of like we talked about at the beginning, has been purloins and bugs. Bugs, especially, are again. This might be the most difficult map to successfully get a bug off without credit. So Ambassador really easy to guard on here, at least for bugs. They do scatter out their fingerprints, but again, Ambassador can sometimes find themselves in a conversation for a really long time, and sometimes don't leave fingerprints very many places. So really curious how they play this one out. Really interesting bar, by the way. All of the suspected double agents and white dress. So it's a theoretically busy bar from Yosh's perspective, but it's actually not. So if we go in for this bar thinking that there's lots of opportunities here, we'll actually be one of very few people with an actual delegate in hand.
We've got 2 flirts down at this point. First one, a distant flirt for 18%. So not the worst possible flirt, but not far off. Another then close white to bring us up to 52 after 2 flirts. So if we get a nice close green, that'll still be 3, but that's the only way to do it. Into the bar we go, trying to make use of an opening that isn't really there, as you were saying.
Yeah, and what's funny is after that, I wonder if they happen to notice that all of the people at the bar went to different conversation circles, which could be a slight tell that they are SDAs, right? So they all kind of scattered. Like now, oh, actually, Red's going to go back. So now they're sprinkled out across each of the conversation circles because they can't end up in the same conversation circle. So this is an interesting point because we might do a fake banana bread into a delegate here, thinking that both of us could delegate to white dress. In fact, there was a leave there that we might have been able to try to do, but it doesn't look
There's
like we're actually
delegate.
going to be doing. There it is for just general. So that's not going to be a delegate on ponytail. It is technically, theoretically, a delegate on white dress. I don't think it's enough time for it to be white dress. So we're going to see the reaction here. But if we don't have a grasp on the timing, it should be narrowed down to white dress and us because we're the only two visitors that weren't double agent there at the beginning. But it doesn't seem like there's a reaction quite yet.
Flirt gets done in 4 as we just tick over 2 minutes left to play. 2 missions down, 2 to go. We've got the flirt in the books, we've got the purloin in the books, but it's very difficult to tell what the suspicion's looking like right now.
And what's interesting is that General actually has a shot of looking like they're flirt paired with us because they went and got the purloin. They came from this position, went back to that position, are doing a contact with a potential double agent in here, and they could be flirting with us as the target and even just doing a frame on that. So I would not be surprised to see. Oh, we do see a flash, I think, on General. So there might be a shot on General for some very interesting maneuvering on his part.
Yeah, one on Flash and one on I think that's Plane Twin as we now step out and into the statues for our first pair of inspects with 1:05 to play.
Yeah, so now General
That
actually
was a
has to
long
use his
safety
long.
off on the twin.
Indeed. And so we're watching really closely here. So I mean, obviously, there's not going to be a microfilm in here at all. But I think, like right now, what's good for Lavinuke is that we can very clearly see whether or not any sort of like transferring stuff with not, unless we misremember where that book came from. Oh, and there might be a reel out here, and that's going to knock out
There
two
is.
of the major suspects.
Twins gone. That's huge.
Twins gone. General still could be in the mix because that would have been a fake for General, and they would have had a potential reel earlier. I mean, we are going to finish up with Inspects here, which is going to be a big maneuver here because General's done
Yep.
nothing after they rejoin that conversation. So big test here on Lavinuke.
We got a quick toggle on Seek, but Yosh is the one at the statues. This is going to be the last inspect we need. With 8 seconds left to play, it's going to be 2 seconds of overtime, which might not be enough to take the shot. Safety is off, clicks before the overtime strikes, and Lavinuke from the sniper side is able to guarantee themselves at least a draw.
Yeah, really interesting timing there because it's honestly hard to remember what the timing is of how long after the statue the inspect would actually end. So we might have thought that there was no time for overtime, and honestly, I wouldn't have chanced it because it would have been right inside the too late for sync window. So we do take the correct shot. Off of the back of really General not doing much after that, if Seek was in the mix, not doing too much, and so just well identified in what was going to be kind of a chaotic play otherwise.
One more game to go. Lavinuke playing for the win. Yosh trying to hold things to a draw. Let's see how this turns out with Lavinuke on the spy side versus Yosh's sniper on modern in 3, 2, 1, playing it.
And I think that either both of them can feel pretty good about this set, kind of regardless of how it shakes out. I think I want to say that each of them threw one game, and that they'll be like kind of regretting yeah, as far as like
That's a
fucking up.
that was so close to being a beautiful little reverse drive-by, but just hit that click a split second too late. Ambassador stepped into conversation a micrometer too far away, and it doesn't wind up taking.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we did fish for it. It doesn't look like we were too concerned for the ambassador at the time. So at least, so when we did this early fishing for bug on Seek, we got caught immediately. But for Yash, there was so much to look at given the scattering of the party that it doesn't look like we're caught for anything, even though we're doing a reverse bug as wheels out in the open, which sometimes is just immediate death because of how wide his bug arm goes.
But it's a situation where the ambassador felt pretty safe, so it's very easy for Yosh's eyes to be elsewhere in that sort of situation. And they were.
And they were, and it looks like okay. So this is
That's a
one of
low
the other
light.
things.
That's a neutral light. Everything is fine. Nobody panic.
There we go. Yeah, I'm curious if we're going to watch Teal really closely, which means we actually shouldn't go for a swap here because Teal was in a very suspicious microfilm position. Also, Teal against the green backdrop. Sometimes people just like to play for that because it's a little bit harder to see. So, good. I'm actually very glad to not see a swap there. We might actually try to cheese this book. I think we are going to just rip this book out. No, I lied.
No,
We're just going
it's
to go for the
gonna be a
transfer.
animation transfer. Beautifully hidden. Tons and tons of cover there for that animation transfer.
Yeah, it depends on whether or not Yosh buys into any behavior on going from the near statues to the near bookcase just out of convenience. Looks like we are going to finish this flirt just before the AI leaves, which is actually really nice because we had the option of following them. One of the nice things about Modern is if you pick up a flirt in that position, we do get marked suspicious, though. I'm very curious about that, if that was for a pair or just maybe a late highlight for the inspects.
So here's where we're at as we step into bar. We've got green microfilm in pocket, 2 inspects, and 67% on the flirt. I don't feel like the bar has been particularly busy, so we might get some stuff off of this, but not a ton. We do the delegate and leave trick and get the flirt done as soon as we land in conversation as well.
Yeah, so here's the I'm gonna talk a little bit about coherence because I don't know what our plan is from here. So like the delegate walkaway purloin is an interesting thing to mix in with microfilm. I don't know how that's going to play out. So we are going to delegate in here. We're going to go inspect, and then presumably we're going to go for a microfilm, and we could have a silent game if we bothered to do the first microfilm at all. But I would imagine that we're going to be under a lot of scrutiny soon once this purloin goes off. It is going to take a while though, because there's a lot of people at the bar, and we did do it early enough that this is still going to take, I think, even though there's some people in front.
So inspect done, flirt done. Here we're going to finish up this microfilm. Probably it's going to hit as the microfilm is being, as the purloin, sorry, is being taken. There's the white test on the book. There is the purloin getting taken at the same time. Book goes away. 10-second countdown. How does Yosh react? It doesn't look like he's on top of any of this. And Lavinuke is able to get it done from the spy side and come away with the win 7-5 over Yosh for his first win of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. So the like you said, like the timing lineup was really interesting for what Yosh was going to direct their attention towards, and it looked like, say, the microfilm. At least I at first I was worried about the microfilm because I would expect that you want the microfilm to hit basically as the list take was going to be happening, because then that would be when Yosh could be directing their attention towards Disney. It's a little early, but Yosh just happens to rotate a little too far and puts the pillar between them and the microfilm and can't quite see it. And so, honestly, well done by Lavinuke. Nice and aggressive. An interesting game, very different from the games they played before. And yeah, by shaking it up, I think they're able to get that win.
Yeah, a very, very strong finish there from Lavinuke. And congratulations to them. They are on the board, and the rest of their games should be against, well, the majority of the rest of their games should be against people much lower down on the current leaderboard. But that game does get them 2 points and bring them just underneath Yosh in the current standings. So they do have a chance to make a run at this.
Absolutely, and like you're saying, yeah, they have the downhill from here, at least theoretically, and this is going to be a big boost just to confidence, and also just like if they play like that, yeah, like to be clear, Yosh didn't play badly at all. Yosh played
Yeah,
well, and that's actually even better because if you just get a win off someone having a terrible day, you might kind of recognize it and not really think that you are showing like improvement or capacity. But Yosh was actually in form. Probably wants to take a couple of those maneuvers back, but overall nice and solid, and honestly among some of the stronger sets I've seen from both of them mutually. So well played to both, and congrats, Lavinuke.
we've still got one more match for you tonight, but we're going to take a little break before we get there. Don't go anywhere. We've got the Masters division coming up for you next.